no coincidence is my excitement for the eagerly anticipated RTS from former Warcraft and StarCraft Giant Studios. It's Stormgate, and today we don't just get the chance to get some exclusive first look at some Stormgate gameplay, but we're also joined by Frost Giant's president and game director, Tim.
Here we go!
Exactly how Stormgate will delight all minds, artificial or otherwise. Thanks so much for joining us, Tim.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
I've been following Stormgate for years, but for those of us who haven't, what is Stormgate?
Stormgate is our modern take on the classic real-time strategy game formula. It's what we think of as a spiritual successor to franchises like Warcraft, StarCraft, Command & Conquer. And real-time strategy games are the type of game where you can control an entire battlefield. So this classic RTS formula includes harvesting resources, building sprawling bases, commanding huge armies on the battlefield.
What is it about Stormgate that's new?
We believe that the RTS genre is something that should be enjoyed by players of all skill levels. And so we've put a lot of effort into making sure that Stormgate feels good, whether you're a pro with high technical skill and you love competitive play, or whether it's something that you just want to be able to relax with and experience a story.
Now, Tim, I understand that you brought, for all of us, but in particular for me, a present to show today. What are you going to show, Tim?
We are going to show gameplay from the pre-alpha of Stormgate.
Yeah.
Now this is something that we are big believers in at Frost Giant. We want to share this current state of the game today.
Let's take a look.
Here we go,
Tim,
boys.
I'm so excited. And right away, this looks like an RTS. Tell me what we're seeing.
This is the classic start to a 1v1 match.
I'm just going to say something. I have seen some pre-alpha stuff, but I actually haven't seen this specific. So I'm actually watching with you guys. So if I zone out, that's why.
Here is the human faction as they're sending workers out to harvest resources. They're starting to construct buildings. They actually build them by 3D printing them from the ground up. And you can see them now starting to train troops so they can have an army that goes out in the field to fight.
Yeah, and I mean, right here, we see in the corner coming up, this looks like
scout?
a scout unit?
Yeah, that is literally a cybernetic dog with laser eyes. It is called the Scout, okay? It's designed for early game. It's a unique unit to the human faction.
Right.
And you can see him now running through the base trying to see what information he can find out about his enemy.
Yeah, I mean, scouting and information is such an important part of RTS games.
I'm just going to let it play, and then I'll go back later and I'll comment on what I'm seeing.
It's been designed so it can actually sense units beyond its sight radius. So it's especially useful early on.
So we're heading into what looks like the first engagement of this game. What are we seeing?
Well, what we're seeing right here is the Red Scout getting surprised by a group of blue troops coming through the Light Force, which is the new terrain type and a twist on the tactical battlefield here.
And how do these Light Forests work?
The Light Force lets smaller units move through them. They have concealment. It's allowed Blue to raid Red's base, in which case Red is barely getting a turret built with their speed building from their workers, which is a human faction advantage. And they're about to pop out a couple extra defenders here from their mech base.
So we got these huge mechs, and I mean, just visually, it looks like they are countering the heck out of these blue
can't
infantry.
move through the forest.
Can these red mechs fit through the forest?
No, they're too big to go through. They're heavy units. They're designed to use their chain guns to go through groups of enemies, but they can't fit through the Light Forest, which Blue knew and used to his advantage.
Okay, so we're in mid-game. This is normally where you make some big tech decisions. What's Red up to?
You're seeing Red commit to a tech path that gives them big battlefield mechs and air units like this evac.
And it looks like they're just dropping right on top of Blue, who was killing a chicken? What's the chicken there, Tim?
Yeah, that's a giant chicken with a Viking helmet on it. Use your imagination. Stormgate's in pre-alpha, and that's art that we haven't gotten to yet, but imagine it as a big Mad Max Raider.
It's the most threatening placeholder art for now. And I see Red diving onto Blue, and hey, picking back up into the air transport. That's some classic high-level micro.
It is, and it's really important for Stormgate that we maintain a high skill ceiling so that players can express themselves on the battlefield by maneuvering and how they interact with the battlefield.
And here we have the final fight of the game, and it looks like Blue is coming up against those mechs. Red is trapped on the other side of the trees. Oh, wait, they can blast through them now? And Blue's dodging these enormous shots, and we can also see Blue swarming in from both sides. This is not looking good for Red.
No, it's pretty grim. Red is on the ropes right here, and they've been outmaneuvered. They're caught in the corner here between two different forces coming in with a mobile pincer.
Man, and of course,
there's the GGs.
The most classic ending to an RTS game, GG. Get Tastosis on that stat. Outside of 1v1, what's coming up for Stormgate?
What you've seen today is just the tip of the iceberg. We have so much more in store. We're going to be revealing a bunch of stuff about Stormgate the rest of this year. We're introducing new modes. We have a 3-player versus AI cooperative mode. We have team-based competitive modes. We're going to be sharing information about our storyline and campaign. We have new factions beyond the humans that you just saw today.
But Tim, what if I want to play the game right now?
If you want to play the game as soon as possible, you wish list.
I'm going to play it next month,
Steam,
by the way.
And you go to playstormgate.com to sign up for the beta. We're starting closed testing.
You can sign up for beta.
Once again, go to Steam and wishlist Stormgate. Tim, thank you so much again for joining us, not just to talk about the 1v1 footage you shared, but the future content plans of Stormgate. It makes the RTS players' dreams come true. Which might not be your dreams. I mean, your dreams might be filled with gloriously grimy Deus Ex-inspired sci-fi fisticuffs with a fiendishly Star Wars vibe to it. If so, get a load of this latest trailer for Fortune's Run.
All right, let's go back and dissect that a little bit. So next month, so a lot of people have asked about this before. I have invitation for basically, I don't know what it is, like I guess like pre-alpha, alpha testing, and I'll be playing next month. I don't know when exactly, sometime in July. I cannot stream it. I cannot record videos, so I'm saying this in advance because I know people are going to ask me about it. I can tell you guys my general impressions, but I cannot record anything. When I'll be able to stream, I don't know. I don't know. So if I do know, I will keep you guys updated. So first thing that we can see, like, by the way, I wanna emphasize something. This is pre-alpha. Like, this is not, the game is not coming out like this. Again, I've talked about this before. I'm sure they're gonna do a lot of improvements, like graphics, and maybe even gameplay is gonna change. So I want to discuss on what we can actually see. So this is, I'm assuming, the main resource, which is a resource you can see right here. I don't know what that is. Like, for example, when I saw some alpha stuff, this was different, which was, I saw that like a few weeks ago. This was different, which is what I mean. Like, this stuff will change, right? So this is the main resource. I'm assuming this is in-game timer. This is the second resource. Then we got bread. We got that dough, which is supply. Now, and this part is also different from the screenshots that we have seen. So so basically what you'll be able to do in Stormgate is, you can see right now the command post, which is like the town center, is selected. In order to build units or build structures, you won't need to select workers or select buildings, okay? You'll be able to just press Q and then build buildings or do whatever. There's Frost Giant Studios in the chat. Hi guys, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm super excited. We're just gonna dissect what we're seeing right now. I can leave if you want, please be critical. Oh, you don't need to. I can be critical, don't worry about that. I think being critical is very important for the success of the game. If everyone's loving everything, no matter if it's bad or good, that's bad for the game. So, yeah. I know this might not be a big deal for us that have been playing RTS games for a long time, but people that are new to RTS games struggle a lot with selecting workers, building something, sending them back, you know, putting them on this, putting them on that. So having any kind of automated processes that kind of cut on this is very, very good. Now, the reason why this is good is because, well, it makes it easier for them. It makes it more enjoyable. They don't have a lot of APM. They can do other stuff, yada, yada. Now, this doesn't make the game easier at the top level, which is very important in my opinion. Any kind of shortcuts and making game easier, for me, is 100% okay if there's a difference to what the top players are doing. So, for example, if you were to select, let's say a building costs 100. Obviously, I don't know what the costs are. If I select Q and then I put building here, the worker will need to go from, let's say the closest, I'm assuming the closest worker goes. The closest worker will go, and then when he arrives, the 100 will be spent. Or even if it gets spent immediately, it will take 6-7 seconds, whatever, to get there. Now, this is what a casual player would do, and that's at the top level, that is very inefficient. Because a top player would send this worker at like 80 resources, and then the moment it hits 100, you make it, right? And that's the difference between a top player and a lower league or worse player. So I'm all up for making the game easier and more accessible for lower league players, as long as there's differences at the top level like this. Now, So the main resource is, it seems to have 12 workers as of right now in this pre-alpha. I don't know how many workers. Maybe they're gonna keep it at 12. Maybe it's gonna be 10. I don't know. Then we have another resource, I'm assuming, because it says 0 out of 4 workers, which is, I'm assuming, for this resource right here. I know a bit more how this one works, so I can't go into details too much, but you can see the game will have 2 resources. Now, the graphics I discussed already in like every Stormgate video, and my genuine take is a lot of people, not a lot, some people dislike the cartoonish look. I personally like it. I like the clear look. I like when RTS games have graphics that are like very obvious what is what. I don't need to like, oh, is that a machine gun or is that a rifleman? Or I like being able to see immediately what's going on. Now, one thing I see people are talking about UI. Looks less cartoonish than before. Well, because it doesn't look less cartoonish. What you saw before were pictures of models. You don't look at the models like this. You look at them from bird point of view, right? So when you look at stuff from bird's point of view, it looks like less cartoonish. If you looked at StarCraft units exactly how they are, if you could zoom in, they would probably look cartoonish as well. Now, yeah, one thing about that I wanted to say about the Viking chicken, I completely disagree. That's my criticism. The Viking chicken should stay. Just make the Viking chicken bigger as a creep. Don't remove it. Just make it bigger. Truth? I mean, yeah, of course. Who's going to be upset that there's a Viking chicken as a creep? Feels a bit zoomed in. Yeah, I don't know about zoom in levels. This is... Now, we play Age of Empires 4, and this does seem a bit zoomed in, but this is more in line of Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2, the way it looks. I would like if you could zoom in a tiny bit more. I do agree, maybe it is too close. So maybe just slightly more zoomed out would be better. It's also hard to say because this is the screen, right? So it's not full screen. So maybe that's giving a weird point of view. I'm not sure. Now, the UI... So I'm just going to remove my camera for a second. So this is what the UI looks like. I'm personally a big fan of UI. And again, I don't know if this is set in stone or is planned to change. But I'm personally a big fan of UI just stretching to the corners and not having empty spaces on the side, because I think it will be very, very distracting. I would prefer if like the middle was cleaned up. So there's more space on the middle, but less free space on the sides. So I would like if the minimap was pushed to the left, the production queue is pushed to the right. Now, the one thing that I don't know if that's planned or not, I would love if there was customizable UI. As someone who used to play StarCraft and now plays Age of Empires 4, well, maybe you do know, maybe you don't know, but in StarCraft 2, the minimap is on the bottom left, which is what we see here. But in Age of Empires 4, the minimap is on the bottom right. So it is very weird for me looking at the resources on the bottom right. I don't know how possible that is. I would personally love if it was fully customizable. Like, I would personally, as an AoE 4 player, I would love to put this right here on this side. I would love to put minimap on this side. Some players, some StarCraft players, maybe they would like to put resources on the top. You know, maybe you can detach the resource tab and put it to the top right, because that's where StarCraft 2 resources are. That's what I'm hoping for, because I probably wouldn't have even thought of this if I kept playing StarCraft, but the fact that I played more RTSs after StarCraft, I realized that a lot of RTSs, there's no real, this is how you do it. Every RTS has it different way, right? I compared Age of Empires 4 and StarCraft 2, but I'm sure there's other games that maybe they even have a minimap on the top right. Some games I know have resource tabs in top left. And when you have played RTS games for as long as some of us did, it's sometimes really weird. Like, you keep looking to the, let's say, top left for resources, but the resources are bottom right. So it just doesn't seem natural. It takes a while to finish. So yeah, like I said, my personal wish is if the UI is customizable.
So excited, and right away,
now
looks like an RTS. Tell me what we're seeing.
This is the
Now, the one thing that I don't know what it is, so we see the purple thing, but that is not health bar, because why would it looks like this looks like a I guess just this looks like energy. There's a Z button here. So what do we have? There's an A, which is obviously for workers, right? It looks like workers. Also, I hope that hotkeys are customizable. Coming from AOE4, there was a lot of bawling about that. So I hope that hotkeys are... I mean, it also seems they're using the... What are they called? The grid? Now, this is a worker. Now, this is, I'm assuming, some kind of ability. Why assuming some kind of ability? Because the command post has HP and it has energy. This is energy. This is not shields. Why? How do I know it's not shields? Because if the HP is 1.5k, it doesn't make any sense that the shield of the building is 100. Like Protoss shields, it would be more either like 1.5k HP and then 750 shields, or 1.5k HP and 1.5k shields. So this has to be mana or energy or whatever they're calling it. And this is some kind of ability that I don't know what it does, but you... And again, I don't know if this is final, but you have 100 from the get-go. Now, this is an upgrade for a command post. And again, I don't know if it actually is. I'm just dissecting based on what it looks like. The icon is the command post, and the arrow up in most RTS games means an upgrade. So I'm assuming it's going to be like layer tech or hive tech, you know, upgrading your command post, and then you can get to tier 2 tech. It says it seems like it's available immediately. So a lot of these things might just look different. So I'm not sure if you can already upgrade it. Maybe it just takes time to upgrade it. Maybe it takes resources as well. I don't know. But if you wouldn't be able to build it, it would be red, right? Or it would have like X or something that you can't use it, right? Other than that, we have, I'm going to remove the webcam again. So we have Q hotkey, which is for buildings, W, which is, I'm assuming, for military, E, which is, I'm not sure what this is actually. In one of the screenshots that I showed you guys 2 weeks ago, the third icon was like a alchemy kind of research. So maybe E is now research. I'm not sure. R, I'm assuming are, oh, this has to be upgrades. And then T is like 2 arrows, which is, I'm assuming it's also upgrades. Maybe this is tier 1 units, tier 2 units, eco upgrades, military upgrades, something like that. Who knows? Then we have this, which I'm not exactly sure what this is. And we have the production queue here, so you can see when your units are finishing, which is, I think, is great. Being able to tell when the units are coming out by looking at the building and not in the queue, I think is very important, because it's easier to see that.
Like an RTS. Tell me what we're seeing.
Now, one thing I am worried about is you see these workers.
I'm so excited, and right away, this. Take a look. Yes, tell me what we're seeing.
This is the classic start to a 1v1 match.
Hold on, where's the... You see it right here? So the one thing that I'm worried is, I don't know how many AoE units, harassing units the game will have. I am worried the amount of clumping that the workers are having. Because if this is the case of you drop, like, you know, like 2 Hellions from StarCraft and you just mow down the workers, that is going to be a big problem. So, yeah. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how easily defendable the bases are going to be. But considering we've heard a lot about like harassing, economy expanding, I'm assuming you are going to be able to harass your opponent. But maybe the units don't have splash. I don't know. But the stacking does worry me a bit. But I'm not sure how you would fix it. Maybe like the workers just go around, like 12 workers just kind of leech on from every side. I'm not sure. Warcraft 3 mining style? Well, it's not. This is not Warcraft 3 style. Warcraft 3 style is the workers going inside.
Hey, this looks like an RTS. Tell me what we're seeing.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, and now we see Bob is selected. Is this
Start
Bob?
to a 1v.
Okay, now we're full screen. Okay. So now the game is full screen. So this is what full screen would feel like. I think I would prefer if it was a bit more zoomed out. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys think? Like a tiny bit, I think it would be good. So what are the commands? We have A move, X, which is stop, D is for defense, F. I'm going to remove this again. F is for... is that for rally? This is patrol or guard. This might be patrol, this might be guard. And then we have construction. I think this is the same thing as this. Oh, I see. So if you want to build buildings, you press Q, but if you select Bob, you can press Z to make a building with him specifically. X is, I have no idea, and then C, and then repair on the end. Now, when I look at this, I just figured out what the town center thing is. This is type of armor, I think. Do you know how I think I know that? Because this is command post being selected and you have this icon. Then when Bob is selected,
This looks like an RTS. Tell me what we're seeing.
we see blades and we see armor. And I'm pretty sure these are going to be attack and defense. So they have to be upgraded. F for follow? Oh yeah, it might be. Yeah, these have to be upgrades, which or unit types. It could be unit types.
This is the classic start to a 1v1 match.
Yeah, I would definitely like if the UI was pushed to the corner, because I feel like this is kind of just wasteful space. I would rather have this space here, if that makes sense.
What you're seeing here is the human faction as they're sending workers out to harvest resources.
So when workers are creating from this specific, are they calling them races or factions? Because I know every like RTS game's got a different name for it. But these are humans, by the way. So I see people in the chat asking, do you lose the worker? I would assume not. I would assume not, because they are human, right? So I would assume you don't.
Construct building. They actually build them by 3D printing them from the ground up, and you can see them now start.
I mean, I like the way the building
train troops.
looks
They can
like.
have an army that goes out in the field to fight.
Yeah, and I mean, right here, we see in the corner coming up, this looks like a scout.
Now this is very good. What you see here is very good. I think that's one thing that Age of Empires 4 has over StarCraft and Warcraft by quite a good margin, which is scouting. I think every I don't think an RTS game should be you playing blindly. I think you should have a reason to have a scout, and I think you should want to scout your opponent. You shouldn't blindly build stuff or hope that the opponent is not doing this because you're doing that. Like, for example, is this scout here from the start?
And I mean, right here, we see in the corner coming up, this.
Where does this scout show up? Was it AFK the whole time?
Like an RTS. Tell me what we're seeing.
Oh, it is.
The
It's in the
classic
top
start
left.
to a 1v1
It's just
match.
chilling.
What
Okay.
you're seeing here is the human faction. As
You can
they're
see it on the
sending workers out to
minimap right
harvest
here.
resources. They're starting to construct
It's
building.
AFK.
They actually
Okay,
build them
I was
by
like, where did
3D
it come
printing
from?
them from the ground up.
So you spawn with a
see them
scout,
now starting to
which I
turn
think is
troops.
very
They're
good.
kind of
So for
hard to
example,
build
if you want to go like double barracks, you can go double barracks. Then your opponent will scout and react to it. It's better than like having like just pure RNG. StarCraft 2 can be very RNG. If you play StarCraft 2, you know what I mean. It's not RNG, but in terms of like getting the scouting done, it can be very problematic.
Right here, we see in the
Now, what I would like from AoE 4, right? This is my AoE 4 point of view. I would like if these scouts had a purpose also on the map. So what I mean by that, in AoE 4 so in StarCraft 2, your scouting probe or your Scouting Reaper. The whole point is seeing the opponent's base. And that's fine, it's a scout. But in AoE 4, I also like the way that scouts need to scout your opponent, but they also have like a bonus objective on the map, which is to find sheep. So sometimes you have the option of, do I scout my opponent or do I go for the sheep? And I would have personally liked if there was something for the scouts to do, maybe not immediately, but if they had another thing that they could do around on the map, so that you have the option, like, okay, well, if I scout my opponent and if he goes to, I don't know, mess around with the creeps or something with the scout, then I'm going to miss out on stuff, but that's the risk I'm taking or whatever, you know, something like that. Find the chicken. I mean, unironically, I think it would be interesting to have scouts have another purpose. Even if, like, it doesn't have to be like you find 1,000 resources. Even if it's like you find 20 resources. It's, again, something like a casual player wouldn't go around the map, search every part to find 20 resources. But if you're playing at the top level, you would, right? So let's see. Scout is selected. So Scout, again, has the same blade that the Worker had and the armor. So this is upgrades. At first, I thought this might be type of attack, like the Worker has a blade attack. But I'm assuming this is just upgrades. Now, what do we see for the Scout? The Scout has a Z ability, which looks like an eye, which maybe leaves... Yeah, it's a melee attack, right? So this might be like a ward that you put, like Warcraft 3 ward that gives you vision, or it might make the vision radius bigger for the Scout while it's activated.
Coming up,
Don't you find Scout hard to see? I mean, it might be like the legs of it are maybe, and the tail are blending into the green.
Unit?
Yeah, that is literally a cybernetic
But
dog
I think
with
while
laser
it
eyes.
moves,
It
it's
is called
fine.
The Scout. Okay, it's designed for.
Ooh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and I mean, right here we see in the corner coming up. This looks like a scout.
Look at the movement speed. Pay attention to the movement speed.
Yeah, and I mean, right here we see in the corner
Okay,
coming
look
up,
at this.
This looks like a scout.
And then look at it when they
that is
attack each
literally a
other. The
cybernetic
ability is
dog
not
with laser eyes.
activated.
It is
So
called
the Scouts either leave slow. It has to be a slow effect on the enemy. Maybe that's what this is.
Scout.
I hope the
It's
Scout
designed for
attacks the
early
Worker
games,
so I
unique
can see
units
if it
to
leaves it
human
on
faction.
the Worker
Right,
as well.
And you can see him now running through the base trying to see what information he can find.
Oh, by the way, we see the Worker came out.
Look,
right here. The Worker's going to come out, so you don't lose the Workers.
Unit?
Yeah, that is literally a
Right there.
cybernetic dog with laser eyes. It is called the Scout. Okay, it's designed for early game. It's a unique unit to the human faction.
So you can
Right, and you
repair
can
the
see him now
dogs.
running through the base trying to see what information he can find out about his enemy.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, this is a barracks, so the in-game time is 2 minutes. So I'm assuming the game starts after the first, I'll just call it supply depot and barracks are built. And I'm assuming that's a tier 2 building or like a factory or something. So the first unit that comes out for human faction is a melee unit.
scouting and information is such an important part of RTS games.
It really is, and this is something that we've embraced early game. The Scout unit has been designed
I
to
hope
actually
it
set
attacks something else.
units beyond its sight radius. So it's
I'm assuming the
Scout unit has been
okay, this guy attacked the Scout and the Scout didn't get slowed. So the Scouts have like an attack that slows the units that it's attacking, which can have some uses in the gameplay itself. You can chase down your opponents a lot easier. So I kind of like that. Now, this is a melee unit, and it's coming out of barracks very early in the game, which means this is one of the first times ever that we have seen a human faction have a melee starting unit. If you've played RTS games, every single RTS game ever, whenever there's a human faction, they always have tier 1 units that are ranged. Okay, humans with footmen, but I'm talking about like shooting. Okay? I'm talking about like machine guns and stuff. The humans always have like Marines, right? Did the StarCraft have Firebat? Yeah, but Firebat is not the first unit. It causes gas. I think you're wrong. I think scouts slow themselves when they attack. I wouldn't like that.
So it can games. It really is, and this is.
AoE 2 had guys with clubs. Bro, you start in fucking caveman era in AoE 2. Of course they got clubs. They're not gonna have machine guns. What else are they gonna have? Fucking Uzis walking around? Tanks? Of course they're gonna have clubs. Can you check the first strike? Okay, let's see this.
Faction.
And information is
now running through the base trying to see what information he can find out about his enemy.
Yeah, I mean scouting and information is
No, bro. It's they attack and slow the enemy. Look at this. The red scout attack first. The debuff is applied on the blue scout.
See what information he can find out about his enemy.
Yeah, I mean,
look at this.
Scouting and information is such.
I honestly like that. So I talked about. Oh my god, what am I doing? So I talked about scouts having something to do.
An important part of our RTS games.
Scouts being able to slow the units will allow for fast interactions on the map where you can bring a scout, attack a unit so that your units can catch up and kill it. So I like that. Now,
it really is, and this is something that
what's the health like? Let's see. Workers have 150 health. Scouts have 120. So scouts have less health than workers. What I'm worried about is that the scouts won't get used too much because they look at how much damage they take. Let me show you this.
It is
right,
and you
so
can
they
see
can
him
get
now
repaired.
Base trying to see what information he can find out about.
But look at
this.
this.
Is something that we've embraced early game.
This is tier 1 unit.
The scout unit has been designed so it can actually.
Now we can actually do some math here. How much health do they have? 120. 120. This seems to be like 50 health, 55.
Early game, it's cybernetic.
Here we see in the corner coming up. This looks like a scout unit.
Yeah, that is
120.
literally a cybernetic dog with laser eyes. It is called the Scout. Okay.
3 attacks and it's on. So it deals. It's on like, what is this? 60%. 40 divided by 13. What is 120 health? You guys know what I'm trying to say? 15 damage, 60. Let's say it was like 70, 75 health. It's like 15 damage a hit. I mean, I'm assuming the progress health bar is correct. So the scouts do around 15 damage a hit. It can. I don't think it's exactly 15. I think it's a bit less. You think it's 16? Maybe.
It's designed for early.
Now, what I would have liked, I like this interactions that scouts have that slow down the enemies. Personally, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I would have liked if scouts had 1 health per second, or maybe even half health per second regen when out of combat for 5 seconds. Because what I'm worried about is they have this cool ability that slows down the enemies, but then you hit it like 5 times and it's so dead that you don't want to involve it into fights anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's just gonna die.
Early game, it's a unique unit to the human faction.
Right.
And you can see him now running through the base.
How much health did the workers have? 150? So that means scouts take 10 shots to kill a worker. Make it 10 to 12 shots.
Trying to see what information he can find out about his
Can you make scouts?
Yeah, I mean scouting.
I mean,
and
I'm assuming you
information is
can.
such an important part of RTS games.
It really is.
They're
and
very
this is something
fast.
that we've embraced early game. The Scout unit has been designed so it can actually sense units.
Yeah, they can
beyond
outrun
its
the
sight
units.
Radius. Early game.
So assuming this is 50 health,
unit.
I don't think this unit has a lot of damage. I think it's doing like 20 damage maybe. I think the scouts are doing like 14 to 16 damage, and I think this one is Lancers are doing like 20. 20, 22 maybe?
Has been designed so it can actually sense units beyond its sight radius. So
I can't wait to see how off on this I was, or if I was correct.
Has been designed so it can actually
Now,
With
why does
early-
why do we have 50
Here,
all of
we
a
see in the
sudden?
corner coming up. This is
What happened here? We got 238
so they can have an army that goes
and
out in
then
the field to fight.
50.
yeah, and I mean right here we see in the
What happened there?
corner coming up. This looks like a scout unit.
There's no
Yeah, that is
mining
literally
there.
a cybernetic dog with
Cheats?
laser eyes. It is called the Scout. Okay, it's designed for early information. Really beyond,
What looks like the first engagement of this game.
Okay,
especially useful early on.
cool.
So we're heading into what
Now this is a really cool thing that I think that they're doing. So as you guys know, there was once back in the day destructible rocks. Now we got trees, but they have more interesting
Looks like
gameplay. So the smaller units can pass through the trees. Not every tree, like you can see, these are thick trees. This is just walkables. So the small units can pass
first
through.
engagement of this game. What are we seeing?
And then bigger units can't. Now this is just tier 1 units, as you can
What we're
see.
seeing right here
These
is
are the
The Red
Lancers.
Scout getting surprised by a group of blue troops
And then,
coming through the light.
I mean, I don't know what they're called, Marines, Riflemen, whatever.
Force. which
Now
a
this
new
is a
train
turret
type
being
twist
built.
on the tactical.
And this is a second base, I just noticed. I was gonna say, why does Red only have like 6 workers? And Blue has an army, and this guy has no army. Okay, so this is the main base of Red. You can see it on the minimap, and this is his second base. So he expanded.
Battlefield here.
And how do these light
He's trying to
force-
build a turret.
Light force.
And by the way, you can mass build with workers, as you can see here. So this is like, what's it called? So this is like in Age of Empires 4, where you can multi-build, or humans, yeah, in Warcraft 3, where you can select multiple workers to speed build something. Now, I don't think this is going to be the case for all factions. In Stormgate, I'm assuming this is a human thing, and I would not be surprised that if they went the route of like StarCraft, where it's like, okay, well, these guys have to have a worker building the whole time, and you can use multiple workers. And then if there's like another faction or another faction or another faction, like maybe one faction gets the worker consumed, like Zerg. Third faction maybe won't need to have like, won't need workers to build. Maybe it won't have workers. Like I think they're going down their route. I don't think that every faction will be able to speed build, right? That's what I'm trying to say. I think it's gonna be like specific for the faction because they're humans. Yeah, Warcraft 3 has 4 different building methods. Yeah, so I think if they're, I don't know how many factions they're doing, but if they're doing a lot, I think all of them are gonna have different mechanics.
Force let smaller units move through them. They have concealment. It's allowed Blue to raid Red's base, in which case Red is barely getting a turret built with their speed building from their workers.
This turret, I gotta say, it's got ass damage.
A human faction advantage.
That damage seems really low. Like, when I saw these guys multi-building, I thought this thing is about to blow them away.
On the tactical battlefield here.
And how do these light force work?
The Light Force let smaller units move through
Because
them.
you lost 5 workers to build this thing.
They have concealment. It's allowed Blue to
Okay, you
raid
didn't lose 5, you lost
Red's
few.
base.
Like, look at the damage. Lancer's got, what, 250 health? 2,
In which case,
3,
Red is barely
4,
getting a turret
5,
built with their speed
6,
building from
7. 7 shots for half HP, 125. This does like 15 damage a shot? That's how much Scout does. That doesn't seem right to me. Either the Scout's got too much damage or the Turret's got too little damage. I'm not sure which one it is, but also,
to
do we
raid Red's
see the
base,
Turret's
in which
health?
case,
We
Red is
don't.
barely getting a turret built with their
I'm trying to see if it's
How do these light
selected at
force
any
work?
point. No,
Light
it's not.
Force let smaller units move through on the tactical Blue troops coming. Well, what
let
we're
me
seeing
see
right here
something.
is the Red Scout getting surprised by a group of Blue troops coming through the Light Force, which is the new. Here is
Heading into what looks
Scout getting surprised by a group of Blue battlefield here.
and how
To raid Red's base, in which case Red is barely getting a turret built with their speed building from their workers, which is a human faction advantage, and they're about to pop.
Okay, I want you to pay attention to this. Look at this moment. The turret, the static D seems like it's going to be very weak. So look at this moment. The turret is damaged from attacks earlier. And now 6 rifle boys are going to shoot at the turret.
Built with their speed.
Look at the health. You guys ready?
Building from their workers.
Look at the health.
Another human faction advantage. And
Am I crazy? Did they not attack it?
Pop out a...
Do you see that? I don't think all 6 attacked it. And they took a lot of health from it. So I feel like blue could have just dented in this turret in like 2 seconds. No, you can see it get attacked right here.
Faction advantage. And they're about to pop out.
These three guys attacked it. Like, I feel like if blue attacked the turret, he could have killed in like 3 seconds. Maybe I'm wrong. So now we see the red units pop up, which are, I'm assuming, I mean, it's the same faction, right? And this is what we saw earlier, right? Is this that building?
Okay, the base try
games.
Units on. This is something that
I'm not sure if that's the same building.
Of this game.
It's allowed blue to raid.
No,
red
it's
space.
not. It's a different building.
Red is barely getting a turret built with their speed building from their workers. Another human faction.
That's a different building.
And
so this is, I'm assuming, a factory, and maybe the other one was like
got these huge mechs, and I mean, just visually, it looks like they are countering the heck out of
like
these blue
engineering bay or
infantry,
something.
Can these red mechs fit through the forest?
No, they're too big to.
So Vulcans are these units, and I want to show you guys something. When Vulcans shoot, they do damage in a line. So if you look when they come out. I want you to pay attention to the back unit's HP.
And they're about to pop out a couple extra defenders here from their mech.
Attacking in a line. They're not attacking in splash. There's a difference in splash and line.
Out of these blue infantry,
so they're damaging the units behind it. And I'm assuming these guys cost secondary resource.
But they can't fit through the
I'll just call it gas. I don't know what to call it.
What's red up to?
You're seeing red commit to a tech path that gives them
make some big tech decisions.
Now we see in this one, so this is the main base, this is supply depot, and now these 3 buildings, I have no clue what they are, but I'm assuming one of them is like starport, one of them is like upgrading something, I don't know, and we see 4 workers on gathering on this. Now I don't know if these workers need to go back to the base to drop off, because if that's the case, that is a pretty long drop off, so I'm not sure how that interactions work. Maybe they can carry more, so they don't need to go as often, because the ones on the other resource were kind of going back and forth pretty often.
What's red?
And we see a period here of like 5-6 seconds of them not moving, which is, I'm assuming, because they don't need to, or they can carry a lot more. Now, we see an ability usage here.
And it looks like they're just dropping right on top.
So you see it gets dropped on top of the chicken with the Viking hat. I'm 100% solely Viking chicken is a playable civ. Blue was obviously creeping, right? They said that the chicken is a placeholder for, you know, something else, but blue was creeping. Now, what creeping will exactly entail, I know some of it. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but there will be places to contest on the map. Now you can see red does a dropship with the 2 guys. You can see the space is limited. It can only carry 2. And then the first thing this one does is it charges in. And I'm assuming that is a stun.
A chicken? What's the
that
chicken
unit
there,
is
Tim?
stunned.
Yeah, that's a...
How long is that stun?
Who was
1,
killing a
2,
chicken? What's the
3,
chicken there, Tim?
4.
Yeah, that's a giant chicken with a Viking helmet on it.
3-4 seconds stun. That is long.
And that's art that we haven't gotten to yet. But imagine it as a...
That is a long stun. I'm not gonna lie. 3 seconds. That is a long stun in RTS games.
Chicken? What's the chicken there, Tim?
2,
yeah, that's a giant
3,
chicken with a Viking
4.
helmet on
Bro,
it.
that is a 4-second stun. Look at the top one.
Chicken? What's the chicken there, Tim?
2,
yeah, that's a giant chicken
3,
with a Viking
4.
helmet on it. Use your
3-4
imagination.
seconds.
Stormgate's in pre-alpha, and that's art that we haven't gotten to yet. But imagine it.
Yeah, he got plus 50 from chicken. So I'm assuming plus 50 plus 0. I'm assuming this is plus 50 of the main resource, right? And then there's something purple here, which I don't know what that does. But that is a massive stun. And is that a
They're just
single target or is
dropping
that
right on top of
AoE?
Blue, who was killing a chicken. What's the chicken there, Tim?
That's an AoE stun, and I can tell you why
Dropping
that
right
is
on
an
top
AoE
of
stun.
Blue, who was
This first one obviously is going to stun the first one. I think you just aim it and it goes and stuns. The second one, I want you to pay attention. So it hits this one. If it was hitting that one, if you could select it, it would go straight to it. But look how the pathing goes. It goes like here, which makes me believe that this is a ability you cast in space, and it charges, and if it hits it, if it has any collision, it stuns the first target. Now my question is...
chicken? What's the chicken?
Yeah, I don't think this is AoE,
Just
actually.
dropping right on top of Blue.
I think
who
it
was
stuns the first target
killing
that
a chicken?
it hits, because it would stun this one too. This is definitely close enough to stun it as well.
What's the chicken there, Tim?
Yeah, that's a giant chicken with a Viking helmet on.
Because I was going to say, if this is an AoE stun, imagine you stun here, and then you just follow up with 3 more, and you just perma-stun the whole time.
Killing a chicken? What's the chicken there, Tim?
Yeah, that's a giant
I'm assuming
chicken
it's single
with a
target
Viking
and it
helmet
has
on
collision with the first
Use your
target.
imagination. Stormgate's in pre-alpha, and that's art that we haven't gotten to yet, but imagine it as a
So there's blood, by the way, in the game, which I love. I think that's great.
big Mad Max
Makes the
raider.
game cooler, I
It's the most
think.
threatening placeholder art for now. And oh, I see red diving onto
Yeah, you can see the... Yeah, okay, here you can see it for sure.
Max
So you
raider.
can see they both charge, but they both charge
It's
at the
the most
exact same unit.
threatening placeholder art for now. And oh, I see
You see that? They both stun the exact
big
same target.
Mad Max raider.
It's the most threatening placeholder art for now. And oh, I see red diving onto Blue. And hey, picking back up into the air transport.
Now we see the ranged unit, the
Some
siege
classic
unit,
high-level
I'm
micro.
assuming,
It is,
because
and it's
like
really
a
important for Stormgate
siege
that we
tank
maintain
long
a high
range.
skill ceiling so that players can
Now, did this even hit once? Because I
Red
want to see how much
diving
damage
onto
it
Blue.
does.
And hey, picking back up into the air transport. That's some classic high-level micro.
It is, and it's really important
And these guys are getting healed by this transport, by the way. You can
for
see the green
Stormgate
stuff
that we
around
maintain
them.
a high skill.
Oh no, there's a medic behind. Okay, this guy's healing them. I didn't even see it.
That's some classic high-level
It
micro.
seems like
It
it's
is,
got
and
a
it's
range,
really important
like
for
range
Stormgate that
on
we
the
maintain a
healing
high skill
itself.
ceiling so that players can express themselves on the battlefield by
And this guy does not have a lot of health. Holy fuck. These are tier 1 units. Look at the
important
health
for
of this thing.
Stormgate that we maintain a high skill ceiling so that players can express themselves on the battlefield by maneuvering and how they interact with the battlefield.
And here we have the final fight of the game, and it looks like Blue is coming up against those mechs. Red is
So yeah, this is the part of the ability, the charge, where you can charge through and destroy trees.
trapped on the other side of the tree.
I don't know if these are going to be respawning or this stays like this the whole game. I'm not sure how that part works.
Oh, wait, they can blast
But these, to me, seem underwhelming. Like, it seems like it's very hard for them to hit anything.
through them now.
Oh, we can see the damage now.
And Blue's dodging these.
How much health did the... Oh, we don't know the health of the Marines, right?
In north side of the trees. Oh, wait, they can blast through them now? And Blue's dodging.
Okay. This one has 250 health, and this is like quarter. So it deals like 60-ish, 70 damage, 60, 75 damage.
These in north.
Oh, you think it
trees.
matters if it's in the
wait,
center?
they can blast through them now? And
Do Marines all take same
Blue's
damage?
dodging these in
They did not. The last two took a lot more damage.
the other side of the trees. Oh, wait, they can blast
The
through.
last two Marines
them
took
now?
way more damage.
And
Oh. If you look right here, all these guys are getting hit, right?
Blue's dodging these enormous shots, and we can also see Blue
I'm not
swarming
sure
in
that's
from both sides.
a
This
bug
is
or
not
how that
looking
works, but they've been kind of all in the same area. I'm not sure.
good for Red.
No, it's pretty grim. Red is on the ropes right here.
The
and they can
static
outmaneuver
defense
the
just, I mean,
caught in the corner here between
It
two
just
different
doesn't do a
forces
lot,
coming
I'm
in
not
with
gonna
the
lie.
vehicle pincer.
Man, and of course,
There's the GGs.
the most classic. Yeah.
Vehicle pincer.
it also matters how much it costs, I guess. Because if it's like 50 or 100, it's like, okay, I mean, I don't know.
Man. And of course,
There's the GGs.
the most classic. And can blast through them now. And Blue's dodging these enormous shots, and we can also see Blue swarming in from both sides. This is not looking good for Red.
No.
So these guys don't have a setup time, or maybe, I mean, they seem to be always set up,
Red
right?
is on the
And you
ropes
can
right
pick
here,
them
and
up
they've
and they
been
shoot immediately.
outmaneuvered.
You see this ability on the workers? I think this is the Z ability on the command center.
Caught in the corner here between two different forces.
Medium, the official Frost Giant YouTube has better quality. Can you link it? If you don't mind.
In with a mobile pincer.
Man, and of course,
there's the GGs.
The most classic ending to an RTS.
Now, I'm assuming these guys can use attack ground. These guys. So my question is, if I got 6 of these and I put them here and I attack ground 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I just let them do that the whole time, I guess you have to do like flying transport in order to kill them. Okay. Let's see. I guess one guy's going like mech and one guy's going bio. I think that's the kind of the point, right? Holy AoE. I'm watching the left side first. I'm not watching the right side. I want you to pay attention to these 4 guys. Also, the medics seem to be healing the mech units as well. And there's a flying guy that I don't know what that one's doing. But I want you to pay attention to these 4 hitting here now. You guys ready? Look at this. That's a lot of damage. Now let me look at the other fight. We can see it right here. We can see it on the bottom. The scout attacking the marine and he's getting the purple stuff. You guys might not be able to see it from the chat. KW. Okay, here's the masked dogs. Hey, you can see them getting slowed down. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't play tested this. I haven't played any, but the dogs are OP. If they are scouts and they can catch up to the marines, which are tier 1 units, and beat them down, that's kind of wild. Like, let me remove this for you guys. Like, you know.
Hi guys, this is
That's
Theo.
kind of wild.
Obviously played RTS my entire life, so it's been a real privilege for me to be one of the first people to try out Stormgate. Really stoked about this match against Kevin. Think I'm gonna do some light harass in the early game and then just try to overwhelm him with a massive amount of macro.
Okay, let's see.
Hi, my name is Kevin Monkdong, and I work on gameplay and balance on Stormgate. Today, I'll be trying a fast expansion build, and then I'll try to tech to higher tier units to defend whatever TLO throws at me.
That's a big mistake. When you fast expand, you actually want to do the opposite. The opposite should have been played. The harassing player can go for high tier units and mass units, but the defending player should almost always mass tier 1 units because you have more units. so you should be able to hold. I know this from StarCraft. You cannot expand and go into heavy tech units immediately. You're gonna die. I haven't played a single game, but I'm like, yo, your build order sucks. Hey, Monk, if you need some coaching, let me know. Okay, I'm a Stormgate professional. Your build sucks, but it's okay. Don't worry.
He did a lot of worker damage there, so I'm at a pretty bad economic disadvantage. I'm gonna have to try some really sneaky tactics, maybe getting an upgrade TLO isn't familiar with, perhaps maybe even luckily creepjacking him.
He's digging himself deeper with this one. He's like, I took damage, I'm a double down on YOLO.
Getting an upgrade TLO isn't familiar with, perhaps maybe even luckily creepjacking him.
You know what I would do? You want to do YOLO? I would drop these on top of his worker line. Yo, these guys would melt the workers. I mean, getting the chicken was good. I want to see them drop from the main base. That's what I want. No, these guys are not worth building like one. You need like 5 of these to make them useful, I think. That's the whole point. One is too easy to dodge. When you got 5, that's look, it's so easy to dodge.
To hopefully dealing the finishing blow against Kevin here. I'll attack again from the right side through the light trees, but this time we'll bring in a larger force from the left side as well. And I think I'll be able to out-micro him here. He has a more static mech army, I believe, and my bio unit should be able to touch all the tech shots, get in there, and have a pretty smooth path of tech here.
I wonder what the cost of the units is, because he has way less army. Like, Blue has way more army. Like, just the numbers. This is, like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 5 units and a dropship. Yeah, Blue also has worse eco. Interesting. Have you seen that video about StarCraft Alpha development? This looks way better. Yeah, I showed people that. All right. Well, another thing, I hope chat isn't here. I'd like chat to be moved. Maybe here. Because if you have some guy that starts spamming, it's going to like fill up your screen like this. Maybe it was just brought here so people see it. I don't know. But that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm excited to play it. Listen. There is a second faction that you guys have seen screenshots of, right? Stormgate's been posting them. I'm probably not going to be playing the human faction. Okay? Probably not. Although, this is the one thing that I actually forgot to ask whenever, you know, I had meetings or interacted with people from Stormgate. But the one thing that I'm not sure and that I'm very curious is, okay, if the game has 2 factions, it's obviously like you're probably going to pick one and play one, right? Or maybe you can play both, I don't know. But let's say the game has like 10 factions or 5 factions or 3, whatever. Is it going to be made more so towards AoE 4, where you're supposed to play all the factions? Or is it going to be more like StarCraft, where you're supposed to play one faction only? Because I think one of the coolest things about AoE 4 is the fact that you have to play all factions. I think that's the coolest part. Like, imagine playing, what's it called? Imagine playing Stormgate and you're playing a best of 5. And let's say there's 3 factions, right? And you're having a tournament. You have to know all 3 factions, and then you can ban one faction per map. That'd be so cool. I would personally love that. Factions in AoE4 are more symmetrical? I don't know about that. Like, in AoE4, every civ has its own opening, and then the openings change based on the civs you're playing against. So there's a lot of variety. Yo, best of 3 and you can't repeat. That's what I'm saying. How cool would that be? That's the ultimate player. A player that can be the master of all 3 factions. Not a player that listen, the best player is the player who can play all 3 factions. The best player is not the guy who just lucked out on release, picked the most broken faction, and that faction is just broken and then he wins with it. Just saying. Listen, I love StarCraft, or loved. But let's not pretend that there was no race bias in StarCraft, where certain race just wins for a year straight way more than the other 2 races. Okay, this happened throughout StarCraft the whole time. Where one year, Terran would have like 80% win rate in tournaments. The next year, Protoss would win like 9 out of 11 tournaments or 12 tournaments. Then 3 years later, Zerg has a 6-year win streak of winning 90% of the tournaments. I'm just saying, I think it's cool if... I mean, listen, realistically, it's probably going to be like, you can play whatever you want, you sign up with the race and you play whatever you want, right? But I kind of wish that the tournament circuit would be like, you have to play all 3. I think that'd be more fun. Probably not going to happen. So I've actually talked to some StarCraft 2 players, and a lot of them are like, I hope I picked the right race at the start. I mean, the StarCraft guys call it race, right? But they're like, I hope I picked the right faction at the start. Otherwise, you know, because you don't know what you're picking, right? You don't know which faction is going to be good in 6 months, right? So when you commit to something, you're kind of committing to it. So yeah, a lot of specifically Terran players for StarCraft having that PTSD, and Protosses. But we'll see. Anyway, if you guys watch this on YouTube or if you guys watch this on Twitch, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. Let me know what you think about Stormgate gameplay. Are you excited for it? What's your critique of the game? What would you like to see? What would you like to see added? What would you like to see change? What looks good? What doesn't look good? Whether it's in Twitch or in YouTube. We got Frost Giant Studios in Twitch right now. But if you're watching on YouTube, also please leave a comment. I'm sure they also check out for, you know, people's reactions and stuff like that to see what people liked or disliked and so on and so forth. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check me out on Twitch. I'm probably live right now. And if you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.